emerging from the shadows of Malevelon Creek. The Creek Crawlers are a renowned unit made legendary by their exploits in the opening months of the Automaton Invasion. During the initial Automaton invasion that preceded the Second Galactic War, Malevelon Creek came under siege. Tens of millions of cadets deployed to stop their advance, but were wholly unprepared to fight the Automaton menace. Lack of intel, inexperience in woodland warfare, and shortages of specialized equipment all contributed to a casualty rate that far surpassed acceptable levels. The Malevelon Creek Expeditionary Force was decimated, and the planet quickly fell into Automaton hands. But this defeat was to be a mere speed bump on the road to victory. While the majority of forces retreated to defend Dropnir and Mantis, a number of those who survived the initial slaughter on the creek remained. Their baptism by fire was a crucible that forged an unbreakable bond of brotherhood. Only in death would they abandon the creek. Even as the last super destroyers left the skies of Malevelon Creek, they kept fighting a hopeless battle against a seemingly insurmountable foe, raging against the dying of the light. Despite their best efforts, the entire Severin sector was lost. It was assumed that all survivors of the creek had perished. But as the days and weeks ticked by, rumors spread of saboteurs behind the Automaton lines, disrupting their offensive operations. The Ministry of Truth dismissed these as baseless claims. Surely no one, not even Helldivers, could have survived for so long under Automaton tyranny. When supply lines were re-established with the creek and super destroyers graced its twilight skies once more, they were surprised to find Automaton forces in disarray. It was only when a ragtag assortment of steeled veterans crawled out from the shadows that it became apparent that the creek was never truly lost. Bruised and battered, the survivors bore more resemblance to walking corpses than the plucky cadets that came to their rescue. Through cracked visors and static-laden comms, they gave one simple request to the legions that took up the fight in their stead. Remember the creek. The powerful story of these creek crawlers resonated in the hearts of every man, woman, and child on Super Earth. Remember the creek became a rallying cry repeated from the glaciers of Vandalon 4 to the scorched plains of Ember. Inspired by their tales of hardship and survival, voters demanded retribution. This outpouring of patriotism was not unnoticed by High Command, and as a part of Phase 2 of Operation Swift Disassembly, the liberation of Malevelon Creek was made a top priority. The Second Battle of Malevelon Creek was hard fought, but the knowledge passed down by the Creek Crawlers to new cadets caused a near exponential increase in combat effectiveness on the planet. Faced with the overwhelming might of the Helldivers, all Automaton forces on the planet were annihilated in mere hours. The Third Battle of Malevelon Creek took place days later as the Automatons launched a desperate counter-offensive that failed miserably against the veteran troops that now garrisoned the creek. With the end of Operation Swift Disassembly, the Creek Crawlers finally had closure. The Automatons were gone. Their honored dead could rest in peace. April 3rd was declared Malevelon Creek Memorial Day, and a monument was erected to pay respects to all those who had perished in the fight against Automaton tyranny. But this respite did not last long, as the Reclamation saw dozens of worlds taken by a brazen Automaton incursion in the galactic north. The Creek Crawlers did not balk at this threat, however. They did not fade into the annals of history. Instead, they donned a new cape that honored the sacrifices of their brethren and dove once more. Their knowledge of woodland warfare has served them well in campaigns on Martel, Vernon Wells, and Yellowveyor. They remind us that even in our darkest hour, there is yet a ray of hope. The breakdown of the standard issue equipment of a creek crawler is as so. Primary. The R-63 Diligence is a designated marksman rifle that can be wielded with terrifying accuracy. It may lack the ability to penetrate medium armor, but an automaton needs only a bullet in its lightly armored skull to decommission it. Its excellent handling and decent magazine size makes it ideal for short to medium range engagements. Secondary. The P4 Senator is a revolver that packs a serious punch. Able to penetrate medium armor, it makes even Devastators calculate twice before engaging. Many an automaton has met its match by thinking an empty diligence meant a harmless diver. Grenade. The G16 Impact Grenade packs nearly the same power as the high explosive grenade, but in an express package. This versatile grenade is used to great effect against scout striders, tightly packed groups of enemies, and even heavy targets when applied to weak spots. Support weapon. The RS-422 Railgun is an experimental weapon that saw widespread use in the opening days of the Special Military Operation. This weapon can effectively neutralize berserkers, devastators, and scout striders in a single shot, and likewise when used in unsafe mode, it can do the same against hulks and gunships. While the use of unsafe mode can result in rapid onset bodily disassembly of the user, surviving creek crawlers have intimate knowledge of the weapon's limits, and instances of railgun malfunctions are rare today. Armor. The SA-25 Steel Trooper armor is a servo-assisted modification of the standard B-01 tactical armor. The robotic arm and leg give creek crawlers the ability to deploy stratagems from further distances, greatly increasing the effectiveness of hit-and-run tactics with airstrikes. It is common among creek crawlers due to automaton-inflicted battlefield amputations. Helmet. The SA-25 Steel Trooper helmet is a B-01 tactical helmet modified with an enhanced tactical eyepiece which assists in the judgment of distances for throwing stratagems. Anecdotal reports indicates that the glowing red eyepiece assists in camouflage against automatons, as they are likely to mistake it for other automatons in low light conditions. Cape. The chosen cape of the creek crawlers is the fallen hero's vengeance. It is a reminder of the sacrifices made on Malevelon Creek and a warning to any automaton that sees it that vengeance for the fallen draws near. Stratagem 2. The SH-32 Shield Generator Pack is a crucial piece of equipment for creek crawlers. For those who did not bring it are not alive to say otherwise. The energy shield this backpack portable generator emits is capable of stopping both kinetic and energy projectiles, vastly improving the survivability of its wearer. It can be overwhelmed by consistent fire, meaning that automatons sporting a high rate of fire weapon, such as shredder tanks and heavy devastators, can bypass it easily. Regardless, the protection it provides against strong single-shot attacks cannot be understated. In extreme circumstances, it can save a diver from even a direct hit from heavy rockets and tank cannons. Stratagems 3. The Eagle Airstrike is an all-purpose tool for the creek crawler. Whether it is used to clear a bot base, neutralize a patrol, or eliminate heavy armor. If a problem exists, the Eagle Airstrike is the answer. Stratagem 4. The Eagle 500 kg bomb is a precision airstrike of awesome power. Capable of destroying hardened enemy structures such as detector towers, it covers a critical weakness of the Eagle Airstrike and can be used against smaller bases and troop formations to similar effect. Creek crawlers exclusively fight on the automaton front, and are best suited to wooded planets. Wide open plains deprive them of essential cover, meanwhile planets that feature tall flora or geological structures that can obstruct airstrikes are highly detrimental to their combat effectiveness. They often operate as lone wolves during missions, and seldom speak outside of callouts. While the rest of their squad may be focusing on mission objectives, creek crawlers are often sweeping through smaller automaton bases, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. When faced with enemy forces, creek crawlers will withdraw to a tactically advantageous position and set up ambushes, often covering their retreat with a barrage of precise fire and airstrikes. When faced with overwhelming odds, they will disappear into the trees and re-emerge when the automatons least expect. Utilizing servo-assisted limbs, they can throw airstrike stratagems at a bot base from over 40 meters away. By the time the airstrike hits, the creek crawler has already doubled their distance from ground zero, leaving any remaining automatons unable to locate or retaliate against them. Experts in guerrilla warfare, creek crawlers know when and when not to engage the enemy, and how to hit them where it hurts. Despite their legendary status, the combat effectiveness of creek crawlers is ranked medium. While they are unmatched on forested planets, they sacrifice efficacy in biomes that aren't conducive to their style of warfare. Furthermore, their chosen loadout, while effective, is inflexible and somewhat antiquated. Creek crawlers will often refuse to employ stratagems that they are not intimately familiar with, preferring tried and true methods of dispensing liberty. The mortality rate among creek crawlers is exceptionally low, owing to their hit-and-run tactics and higher than average combat experience. However, it is possible that this statistic is due to survivorship bias. To preserve troop cohesion, it is advised to segregate creek crawlers from units that are well known for fighting terminids. It has been observed that they will actively antagonize those who they perceive as abandoning the creek. This stigma is sometimes even extended to other units on the automaton front as well. They also tend to be cold and distant to other divers. This is likely a coping mechanism, as more experienced creek crawlers have had to live through the loss of dozens, if not hundreds of comrades firsthand, and want to avoid forming close attachments. All of these factors, along with their preference towards going solo instead of working as a squad, can make creekers abrasive to other divers. Creek crawlers are among the most legendary Helldiver units yet distinguished by the Second Galactic War. Perhaps their most inspiring aspect is how they rose from the rank-and-file troops. They were not born to Class A citizens. They received no benefit from being indigenous to planets with similar biomes. They were never destined for greatness, but instead heeded the call of duty to protect our way of life. They were forged in the crucible of war, and they will not break. They will not falter. They will not rest until the flag of Super Earth is planted in the decommissioned skull of the last automaton. Until the battle cry, "Remember the Creek," echoes across the scoured tundras of Cyberstan, heralding a new era of liberty.